Every day he drags himself a few agonizing miles, eating berries, roots, bark, and bugs to survive. Maggots hatch from fly eggs in his festering wounds and begin devouring the rotting flesh on his back, which is super gross, but actually probably saved his life by preventing a deadlier infection that would have killed him. While any sane man would have surrendered to death, Hugh is driven by one burning obsession: revenge against the men who betrayed him, so he continues to drag himself along the river. But by this point, Hugh was starving. The berries and bugs he had been eating were not enough. He discovers a pack of wolves feasting on a freshly killed buffalo calf. When the wolves leave, he crawls to the carcass and claims it as his own, setting up camp and gorging himself on meat until his leg heals enough for him to limp onwards. Hugh reaches the Missouri River, and there, some friendly Lakota Indians give him a boat which he uses to float downstream. Finally, in October of 1823, Hugh Glass limped into Fort Kiowa. Against all odds, he had survived not only a vicious grizzly bear attack that should have killed him, but also a 6-week, 200-mile journey back through the wilderness, all alone. Now, for most people, surviving such an ordeal would probably be the end of their life on the frontier. But Hugh Glass couldn't forget the men who had left him to die. He wanted revenge, so as soon as he fully recovered, he bought a new rifle and supplies and set out to hunt down Fitzgerald and Bridger. For months, Hugh tracked through the wilderness, following the trail of the expedition that had written him off as dead. And on New Year's Eve, 1823, he walked into Fort Henry and found his former companions. The trappers stared in absolute terror as they watched a man who they thought was dead walk directly towards them. Once they confirmed he wasn't a ghost that was trying to haunt them, they peppered Hugh with questions, which he answered patiently. Finally, it was his turn to speak, and Hugh just had one question of his own. Where are Fitzgerald and Bridger? Bridger is called, and the young man cannot believe his eyes. Though Hugh intended to kill him, their conversation reveals that Fitzgerald was the one who decided to abandon him. Hugh forgives the young man and sets out to find and kill Fitzgerald, who had since left the party. For the next 6 months, Hugh wandered from fort to fort, searching for his betrayer, and finally, in June 1824, Hugh Glass walked into Fort Atkinson and finds Fitzgerald. Hugh draws his gun and walks into the fort, but is stopped by a U.S. Army captain. Hugh demands a face-to-face meeting with Fitzgerald so he can give him what he has coming to him, but his long-awaited revenge was immediately crushed. The captain informed Hugh that Fitzgerald had enlisted in the U.S. Army and was now government property. He would not allow Hugh to harm him. Glass pours out his story about how he was abandoned and left for dead by Fitzgerald, and the captain understands how that probably was pretty infuriating.